Hello dear friends, this is Pastor Mark back with you once again for another book overview. It's incredible how frequently we are having these book overviews because we are starting new books of the Bible at a rapid pace. Today I'm here to talk to you about the Gospel of Mark, the second book of the New Testament. We've just finished the book of Matthew recently, and we're moving on to the second of what are called the Synoptic Gospels. Synoptics kind of means that they parallel together. Literally, the Greek means see together. And so Matthew, Mark, and Luke are called the Synoptic Gospels. And of those three, Mark is the briefest of the Gospels and widely considered to be the first of the four Gospels written. Now, many people might think that Mark is one of the 12 disciples, but if you actually look at a list of the disciples, Mark is not in there. So where does this name Mark come from? Mark is most likely John Mark, who is mentioned in the book of Acts. A couple weeks back, we were talking about John Mark, who was a cousin of Barnabas, went on the first missionary journey with Paul and Barnabas, but dropped out early and left. And when Paul and Barnabas were going to go on the second missionary journey, Barnabas wanted to take him again, and Paul said, "Oh no, I'm not going with Mark again." And it caused such a sharp disagreement that Paul took a different person, Silas, and went on his missionary journey, and Barnabas and Mark went together. Now, if Mark wasn't a direct eyewitness, what is he doing writing a gospel? It is widely believed that Mark was acting as Peter's penman in Rome. If you read 1 Peter later on in the Bible, you see that Peter is in Rome, and at the end he sends greetings from Mark, who he calls his son. So that talks about definitely an intimate relationship there. Peter is believed to have died about AD 65 under the first major persecution of Christians under Nero, and so it is likely that Mark was written in the first half of that 6th decade, in the early 60s there. Probably written largely for a non-Jewish audience, probably in large part for Rome, and we have a couple of hints as to perhaps why. First of all, Mark was a young man. He's described in the book of Acts as being young, and his parents are members of the church. And so Mark is a very action-packed gospel. First of all, it's shorter than any other gospel, only 16 chapters, whereas the others are over 20 chapters. And it is it's almost like rushed, or like an action movie, something like that. So if any young adults can identify with that, then Mark may be the gospel for you. In its brief 16 chapters, the word immediately is used over 40 times. And many times, multiple stories are packed into a single chapter. For example, in just Mark chapter 1, you get the content that is covered more thoroughly in Matthew and Luke, in covering about the first 4 chapters. And so Mark is probably cited less than Matthew and Luke, because Matthew and Luke contain a lot of the same stories, but with more detail in them. And because of that, Mark can very much be overlooked. But as you look at the narrative of Mark, you find an action-packed ministry. Mark has fewer of Jesus' parables than Matthew and Luke, but more of his miracles. And so we can see that Jesus was here to act and to put things into action. And of course, the greatest action, his death on the cross. 40% of Mark's gospel has to do with the last week of Jesus' life. And also Jesus talks a lot about suffering, how he must suffer, how his disciples must suffer. And once again, that aligns very strongly with the epistles of Peter later on in the Bible. He talks about righteous suffering being very honorable, highly viewed in heaven's sight. So I hope that you enjoy this journey that we're going to be on in the Gospel of Mark. I, of course, have a favorable view toward Mark, because I am his namesake. My mom named me. I don't think there are any other Marks in my family, so I think this is the Mark that I was named after. And it's a pretty popular name in society these days. I guess all 4 of the gospel writers are. But Mark had a passionate love for Jesus, even though it's doubtful, almost sure, that he did not ever know Jesus personally. But he did a wonderful work, and we are going to continue to benefit off of his faithfulness in writing down Peter's account. That's one other thing that I should have mentioned too. Peter is known widely as being the most impetuous of the apostles. He's jumping out of boats, he's having great proclamations of faith and then great crises of faith. And so perhaps that is also shown in the immediate, very rush and tumble version of the Gospels here. So I hope that you will enjoy going through this journey together. God bless you, and let us always ask for his Holy Spirit to impress on us the lessons he has for us. One last thing to mention, we have had a discipleship group going the last several months here at the Anaheim SDA Church in the afternoons, and some of our students who have been going through the book of Mark, it's been focusing on the book of Mark, some of those students are going to be showing up in some of the chapter supplemental videos coming up. So look forward to a few faces besides Pastor Nathaniel's and myself. And of course, if you have a favorite passage, either in Mark or one of the other Gospels, perhaps another place in the Bible, we'd love to get you in also on describing what some of these Bible chapters mean to you. In the meantime, friends, I hope that you have a blessed week. Pray that God will continue to guide us on our journey as we grow and deepen in faith. God bless you all. Bye.